Many of you that I see out there today, I've spoken to over the last few months. And I've gotten to know a few of you, and a lot of you have gotten to know me and know my story. But nonetheless, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what has brought me into the cannabis industry and why I am doing what I'm doing, and maybe share a little bit about our objectives and our long-term goals and what we want to be able to achieve and help. But without all of you here and look around, look at each other, we wouldn't be able to change the way things are done or the way this industry is looked at. And one of the real exciting things for me, and many of you noticed, I wasn't prepared for everybody to be here so early. I had, to be quite honest, I've been doing telecom trade shows for years. Everybody goes out in the telecom and the corporate industry. They party the night before and they show up late to my events. So to have people showing up here at 7:30 before we even open the door, eager to get in here and listen to me speak, is so rejuvenating, and it's exciting to me because that's the type of person I am. You know, when there's a meeting or there's something that's out there, I want to get there early. I want to talk to people. I want to learn. And I think that judging just by the group that we have here today and your ability, you should all give yourself a big hand. Thank you for coming. And at the same part of that, you know, sit there and realize history is in the making right now. You are all part of history as it's happening. And I've been to a lot of different events, and you're probably going to hear this a lot more. You're on the right side of history. This is a good thing that's happening. And, you know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what brought me full circle and what I've done over the past few years, and maybe you can relate a little bit to my story. I know a lot of you have different stories, which has brought you to this industry, but all of us are here for a reason that comes along. For the last 25 years, I've been a serial entrepreneur. Started businesses when I was 18 years old. My mom, she's here, she probably can attest to when I was 8 years old and painting rocks and selling them to my neighbors as paperweights. I also didn't do some of the best things in the world, like when I went around to my neighborhood and collected money for my baseball team to realize that my baseball team wasn't doing a collection, and my mom made me go and give every person in the neighborhood their money back at 8 years old in New Jersey. But you know, that's the way you learn how to do things that are right and that are wrong, and you develop as a person as you grow. And that's one of the things that I've done over the last 25 years. Some of my first businesses and endeavors that I did, everything I did to try and earn money. I did to try and go out there and, you know, make a better life for myself. You know, we grew up, we had government cheese when I was a kid. I lived in Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, you know. The opportunities that I saw out there, I had to go and I had to grab and I had to get. And much like myself, a lot of people in this room and a lot of people that I've been meeting with over the last few months have similar stories. They've been successful, they've gone down, they're looking for a new opportunity. And that's what medical cannabis brings to the state of Florida. It's an opportunity, it's hope. I have 3 sons, 21, 17, 14. I have a nephew and a niece that are real close to me. My niece is here. You probably saw her helping check in when people came in here. But over time, over the last 25 and so odd years that I've strived to make money and that as my driving force, I came to realize in, you know, these later years that it's not all about just making money. You know, it's idealistic that you have a chance to, you know, be part of a change, of a revolution, so to speak. And that's what all of you here have an opportunity to do going forward. But we have to do it the right way. There's different ways that you can approach this business, and then there's the right way to approach this business. And a few of the things that we'll talk about over the next couple hours is a different way of looking at even so much as the terms of how we speak about cannabis and cannabis use. And I'll get into that a little bit later and some of the other people, but back to my story and what brought me here. So in the last 15 years, my most successful business was the telecom industry. It was a phone card business. And over all the years, I built it up, and I'd like to say I was fairly successful. Last year, Crush Communications did over $25 million in sales of prepaid calling cards. That's $5 at a time, a lot of instances in the stores. But I found distribution. It took me across the country to Denver and to California, where I was able to see what this plant and the use of cannabis was doing for people. And I saw businesses popping up in those states. Right here is a nice slide. This is in 2007 with phone cards and branding, and I came out with a cross brand called The Homies, which what we did was we put that on telecom cards, and I was voted Best New Product of the Year by National Association of Convenience Stores. And I was standing right in there, and I don't know if you could see some of it, the other products that were there, but there was M&Ms from Hershey's, and there was Bic and Monster Java Drink. I had the CEOs of Bic and Monster Energy all with me winning awards for similar products that they introduced to the industry. And it was real exciting because I was able to do something in the phone card industry that nobody else was doing. And it led me down my path, and that one of my valued successes was when we won that award for branding. But back to my story, the phone card industry taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about how to run a business, how to run a company, how to deal with stress. And as you can imagine, over those years of running a business, I was plagued by stress. Fast forward, that was in 2007. In 2008, I had 2 surgeries. I had spinal fusion. My neck actually collapsed and it crushed my spinal cord. And I went to the hospital thinking I was having a heart attack. While I was in there, they were pumping me full of Dilaudid, all different kinds of medicine. And the doctor saw me, he's like, if we don't do surgery on you immediately, you're probably gonna lose the use of the left side of your body from spinal cord damage. So I proceeded, I had my next surgery done, and that was October of 2008. And prior to that, I was working 100 miles an hour, running a company, working out in the gym, trying to do everything that I can. And the hospital prescribed to me painkillers as I came out. Now, I never really took painkillers over a long period of time, but there was Oxycontin, Dilaudid, and a wide variety of different pain medicine that I took. I became addicted to them over that course of that year, to the point where I gained over 85 pounds. I developed stage 3 liver disease. I was hospitalized December 22nd, 2009 at Brandon Regional Hospital. When I went in there, I had blood sugar of over 500, severely diabetic. I was obese by their standards, and everybody told me, Tom, if you lose weight, you're gonna be okay. I'm like, all right already, I know I gotta lose weight. But it wasn't just the losing weight, it was what had occurred to me, and I let it happen. I'm not gonna blame it on any doctors. There's no excuse for what happened, but it was my only option to deal with the pain at that time. So from the time of my spinal cord surgery, then I had a back surgery. Between 2008 and December 22nd, 2009, I gained over 80 pounds, developed stage 3 liver disease, which they said I would need a liver transplant within 2 years. And basically, I was almost gonna die. They said, if you don't change your life, that this is what's gonna happen to you. So what did I do? As a self-starter, an entrepreneur, I said, all right, I'm gonna change everything. I quit the pills. I detoxed myself. I laid on my couch. My wife's here. She was my fiance at that time, and she saw me sweat it out, and I detoxed myself from all the pain medicine that I was on, and I quit it completely. I also quit other things, like a spoonful of sugar into my coffee. I quit drinking alcohol. I haven't drank a sip of alcohol in over 5 years. Not because I felt like I was an alcoholic or that I felt like I was an addict, but I felt like I needed to change myself. And I needed to change my body, and I needed to find ulterior methods to dealing with stress. I found mixed martial arts. Some of you that know me in here know me from the mats and from jiu-jitsu. I train with Robbie Donofrio, who just got his black belt. He's here today. And I train over at Gracie Brandon now. Got really involved in actually jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts became the drug for me. That was my exit drug from what I was using for pain relief and for my stress and anxiety of running a company. Now, that being said, it was my choice to take the pills that the doctors prescribed to me. It was my choice to use alcohol, which is totally accepted in this society, especially in business meetings, to use to deal with my stress and to deal in social networks. But those choices almost killed me. I didn't have a chance to choose to use medical cannabis. And now in Florida, that choice is going to be the choice for many people in our state. And that's a choice that they should be able to be made by them. The reason I tell you this is because I want you to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing and how I have an emotional contact to what we're doing. It's not about just making money in this industry. I know a lot of you came here and you paid a good amount of money to come here and learn how to make money in this industry and how to do the business of cannabis. I am going to teach you that. But I want you to also think deep and hard about what you're getting involved in. And the people that I have that are going to come here today and they're going to speak to you, every one of them I spoke to personally. And I made sure that when they came up here, they had a story that they wanted to share with you. Because we can all, yeah, I'll teach you how to make money. Anybody here wants to learn how to make money? I'll teach you how to make money. And to make money in the cannabis industry is going to be even better. But what the biggest part about running a business or running a company is the contacts that you make and the networking and the relationships that you build. So if you take anything away from today, more than what the rest of our speakers talk about, I want you to take away that, look around this room and everybody that's in here. These are people that you can deal with going down the path to your success. The money will come. This is an industry, it's just like any other wave. It's like the telecom wave. When I got involved in '96, it's the real estate wave, the stock market wave. And if you figure out where you position in that wave, you will be successful. What I do ask of you is to figure out your connection and why you want to be successful in this industry. Because just chasing money, at least for me, in the future, it's great and you do well and it's nice to be able to buy good things and take your families on vacations and do things. But what I realized after all this time is that there's more to doing good business. I'm gonna bore you with one more medical story, and that's because I think it's real important for you to find out. About a year ago on October 26th, I was issued a patent for a technology that I developed in my telecom industry. One of the best days of my career. On that same day, I went to the emergency room. It was October 26th or 28th, 2 years ago. And I was training with Robbie Donofrio that morning, and I went in, and they told me I had a mass on my pancreas. I didn't know what it meant. I said, what does a mass on my pancreas mean? And they're like, well, you need to go and talk to your doctor and find out more information about it. So I went home, I Googled it, found out what was happening, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have pancreatic cancer. I'm gonna die. You know, I went in, there were 3 or 4 people I ever spoke to that. Robbie's here, because I went in and I talked to Robbie. I was like, Robbie, I got a mass on my pancreas. I don't know what's gonna happen. I need to start training. I gotta get in good shape because I'm gonna need this surgery, and I wanna train for this surgery like I'm training for a fight. So Robbie, I want you to train me like I'm going into the cage to fight, like most of the guys I train with. Because my surgery that I anticipated I was gonna have was gonna be my fight for my life. Luckily, after 4 months, after 3 CT scans, an MRI, where every one of the tests that I had taken showed that my mass was larger than they thought, I was going to Moffitt Cancer Center. After 4 months of me training to fight for my life, what I felt. I mean, I had to talk with my kids, rewrote my will, did all these things. I found out there was nothing there. They went in, they did an endoscopic search, they took a look and there was nothing there. I can't explain it. I'll be honest, I've even told some people this story, and my wife can attest to it. When I got into the car, I looked at her, I go, are they messing with me? Are they just telling me there's nothing wrong with me because I'm gonna die and they don't wanna tell me that I'm gonna die? And for me, I was lucky. I got a second chance on life. I got a second chance, and I was able to re-examine everything I did. And that's what gave me the courage to be able to change directions of what I was doing. I sold my telecom company last year. I had a very successful run at what I was doing, and I started looking into what I could do and where I can go and help people. And that's when I found that I was possibly going to look into opening an edibles company with my wife in Denver. So I resigned from my position a year ago in May. My company was acquired, which was great. I traveled out to Colorado, and my wife's a great cook. A lot of the food out here you see today are good, and as you can see, I'm doing pretty good on my weight gain back from a lot of her cheesecakes and the way she's an awesome cook. And we were going to do an edibles company in Colorado. We were going to make some of the best cheesecakes and lime tarts and everything. So I started investigating that. I was possibly going to move out there. I was going to partner with some friends of mine from the telecom industry. And then lo and behold, Pete likes to call it serendipity. United for Care was able to help get all these ballots signed and get this on the vote in November. Thank you. Those here's some pictures. This was me in Colorado. I was there February 2nd, right after the Super Bowl, when the Broncos, the dispensaries were empty. I guess people were depressed. Nobody was out. I got free reign. They took me into every place, talked to me. I had a great visit out there. And here's, I was at a dispensary called Kyman out there. Has anybody here been to Colorado? Raise your hand, raise your hand. Wow, more than half the group here. Have you been there since it's changed to recreational? Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing, huh? People aren't dying, they're not fighting, they're not killing each other. And these are the things that I saw when I went out there and I talked to people. I not only talked to people, I talked to people that were patients. Now, in Florida, we're talking about this for medical, okay? And it's a very important difference. What they've chosen to do in Colorado is good for Colorado. What they've chosen to do in Seattle is good for Seattle. And the reason that I bring that up, and I show you what I went out, is I immersed myself into this industry and this business, because if I was going to be involved in it, I wanted to be successful. I wanted to figure out who to deal with and how to do things. But, all of these things that are out there, I went to every school that's out there. I went to the Cannabis Career Institute. I went to 420 College. I went to the Medical Marijuana Academy in Colorado Springs. I'm a member of ArcView, which I think a lot of you know, which I took money from selling my other company and looked at investing into other businesses in Colorado and California. And that's when I really decided, you know what, I need to dig my heels in, because there's a lot of friends of mine and a lot of family and a lot of my fellow Floridians that are thinking the same way that I am, but they don't know what to do. They're not as fortunate as me. They still have a job that they have to work at. They're running a business, or they're looking for the opportunity, or they have to wait till November. So that's when I decided, how can I help people in Florida to learn what's Florida? And that was the birth of what we're doing here now. This was the debate with John Morgan. We attended a few months ago. Some of you here, I know I've seen there, and I know a bunch of you have been to a lot of the local debates, but that's another point. I encourage everybody here, talk to your friends, talk to your family, get out and support all of the free events as well that are going on. This was a debate put on by the University of Tampa. It had a great turnout, a lot of college students, but those are the people that really support this right now. The people that aren't educated about it, we need to get out there and talk to them. Let them know about the free events that are going on. It did cost money to come to hear me talk today, and I'm glad that everybody is here, but there is a lot of free stuff that's going on that you could go out, and I encourage everybody to get out there and educate themselves. But the main thing that I found from everything, and we're doing it, we're going to every event that we can, so if you can't do it, we're here to share that information with you as we get it and it becomes available. But one of the most important things that I found was a lot of these different schools, so to speak, that pop up, they're misleading people. They're letting people believe that if you come and you attend their event for one day, that you could just run into this business. And that's not the case. Coming here to this event and hearing me speak, or hearing some of the experts that I have come up, is not going to qualify you to go out there and run a business. And it's not just in the cannabis industry. Telecom is going to be the same thing. If you wanted to get into that, if you wanted to open up a restaurant, you need to find out information about your food, the health department, all these different things. So this industry, as exciting and as interesting as it is, and a lot of people will make it like it's easy to pop up, it's not easy to jump into the industry and do everything the right way. And as part of our group, what we look to do over the next 8 months while we're going to the vote is connect with you and help you connect with each other to be able to build your network, build relationships, and start learning from everything that you're hearing, and as much as we can, help you navigate through it. So a lot of you have heard and you've seen, some of our slogan, our day event, and people ask me all this time, what is it? Are you going to teach me how to open a dispensary? No. What we are is we're education. I want to provide you with some motivation and some consultation. So, we want to educate you to the real rules, the laws, and everything that goes on. What's happened in Colorado, what's happened in Seattle, what happened in California is good for Colorado, California, Seattle. Look around you. What's good for me in this industry may not be good for you. What's good for Pete in this industry may not be good for somebody else that's looking into getting into growing or ancillary businesses. So what our job is to help you navigate and figure out, where you fit into this group. Most people that I talk to that call up, automatically want to grow or automatically want to be a dispensary. And a lot of you have a clear understanding and you know how to grow and you know how to run a dispensary and you know exactly where you're going. And that's great, and we want to help you too. But there's a growing number of people in this state that aren't educated, that don't know the rules. And today, as we go on, I have a few attorneys, local attorneys that are going to speak to you. I've got also a very educated writer and former dispensary owner, patient, and fighting his own legal battle with the federal government that will be here. And we also have real estate professionals, and we have Jeff Dayton from ArcView. And I don't know, I know a lot of you have heard me talk about ArcView, and what ArcView is a great group that got together, and they found out that there's a lot of great entrepreneurs throughout this country that are looking to get involved in this industry. And not just in the growing or the dispensary end of it, but in ancillary businesses. Does everybody here know what an ancillary means, or ancillary business? Raise your hand if you don't. Ancillary businesses are just the simple side businesses that come along with this. When the passage of this law is going to create opportunities for people in the state to do things such as solar panel installation, irrigation business, vaporizer pens. Tyler Marquardt, who will be here later speaking, he owns a vaporizer company in Seattle, hugely successful and great. There's companies that are coming out with clothing lines, like myself. We came out with a clothing line, and you're going to hear about it a little bit, and some of you already heard, called One Common Bond. It's actually Common Bond, and it's an image of the THC molecule, and we all have shirts later on that are available, but it's to allow you to wear a clothing brand that doesn't set you apart in a negative way, but allows you to actually put it out there that you're in support of what's going on. And we all share a common bond. Everybody that's sitting in here, all the patients of Florida, and everybody that's working to get this legalized. Well, I think I've talked a lot. I wanted to answer a few questions before we got into today, and if any of my speakers would answer those questions, I'll just let you know, and we'll listen on later on. But does anybody have a question? No questions? You tired of hearing me speak? Yes, we'll have a speaker today, but again, this is the most important thing, and I want to reiterate this and back. The laws and the rules have not been written. What United for Care has done is they've proposed a 2-page amendment, which is going to be voted on, and we'll talk about the different bills. But as of right now, once that's voted on, then the state will start issuing the laws and the rules. Right now, there is nothing in place. Now, even if the state of Florida does pass this, cities and counties will have the right to pass their own ordinances which may prohibit it. So I'm talking to a lot of people, they're running out and they're buying real estate and they're buying property and they're doing these things in advance. And this may be a mistake. They may be geniuses and get real lucky, but there's a company that just announced they bought a $1.2 million piece of property down in Bradenton. Okay, well, if they haven't already if I was the city of Bradenton, I'm gonna pass an ordinance, and I'm not saying this, I'm gonna pass an ordinance prohibiting what they wanna do. You know why? Because then they're gonna have to lobby me to change my ordinance to do that. So maybe buying that piece of property was a smart move. Announcing a press release that you're gonna open up one of the biggest grows in a city that hasn't passed any rules or ordinances, not so much the best thing to do. There's simple common sense things that need to be done. But to answer your question, Sam Harris will speak on what he has found across the state, and we'll talk a little bit about zoning. But one of the big things is know your politics of where you plan on doing business. Talk to your politicians that are in your area. And Tyler Marquardt will talk about that later on this afternoon after lunch. It's real important that you put a face with this industry. I'm looking out here today and I got a lot of people, pretty much everybody dressed pretty business professional. You are the face of legal cannabis for this industry going forward. So the politicians and the people that are afraid of this, we need to learn how to speak to them. That's why some of the terms, and I'll come out and, we call flowers, not buds. We talk about cannabis use, not smoking pot, or medicated, not high. All these terms and things are important. They're important when you talk to your friends and your family about it, because all the negative connotations that have been developed for the last 20 to 30 years are there, and they're still there. So as we start talking about, the different ways to speak about this industry, you're gonna get response. I'm not saying that people are gonna put down their guard, but they may listen to you. And that's what's real important. Every one of you that's here probably knows 4 or 5 people that's not educated on this topic or this subject. You need to get out there and talk to them. And talk to them in a language that they can understand. Politicians, you walk up and you wear a shirt and a tie and a jacket, they're gonna listen to you, they're gonna talk to you. You talk their language, they're gonna talk to you. If I walk up to them in my wife beater with all my tattoos, and I'm sitting there looking at them and I try to talk to them about cannabis use, they're gonna close their door immediately. They may say hi to you, they may listen to you momentarily, but it's real important. You're putting off the professionalism of business. And that's what this is. This is the business of cannabis. And like it or not, a lot of people that have been doing this industry for a long time, and I'll call them the underground, they don't like business, big business getting in, and I don't blame them. I'm not the face of big business. I'm a guy, just like anybody else here, that worked my ass off to compete against AT&T and MCI and WorldCom. I got audited by the IRS for over 9 months. I fought the government on that. I fought for change in telecom by forming a committee that I was on called American Prepaid Phone Card Association, which lobbied the government for better rules. Everybody in this room, you have the power to be able to make this change happen. But it's a matter of being smart about it, and not just you, but helping the people around you to understand this better. Any other questions?
How strong is the medical community supporting the Florida? How behind are they?
When you say the medical committee,
The medical community, like the doctors and all, how strong is their voice?
I've seen reports that there's 82% support of all Floridians. A lot of doctors that I speak to, they don't want to come out on the record saying it, but most everybody is in agreement that what people are using right now isn't working. The pain pills that we're prescribing to our patients are killing people. Most medical professionals are sitting on the sidelines waiting for this to happen. Candidly, I've spoken to a few and I've sat down and they don't want to come out and say. Most of everybody I spoke to, and of course they're going to speak to me only if they're in support, are supporting this. But you're on the right side with we need to make a change. People are dying from Xanax. People are dying from OxyContin. and abuse. You know, we're creating heroin addicts all over the place from, you know, medicines that are being prescribed. And, you know, I see that a lot of them are in support. It's just they're not as vocal. A lot of law enforcement are in complete support of this, but they're never going to speak out for it because the higher ups are dependent on. This is our opposition, and I'll get into it. Our opposition is we have the local police departments that depend on grants, and those grants are given to them based on the number of drug arrests that they make. Marijuana drug arrests count. And I'm sure we have an attorney here, one attorney or another, that'll talk to you about what they've seen in the upping of drug arrests, but they count on that. The private prison systems, they have stock symbols which directly correlate to the number of people they have imprisoned. So, you know, the opposing factors, the only opposing factors are the people that are going to be hurt financially for this. Everybody else that is looking out for the well-being of people are in support that I've spoken to. And it's a matter of just educating everybody else as much as possible. Any other questions? Of course, we want the governor of Florida to be behind whatever the people vote upon. But you know, that is out of our control. We can only do what we can to get out there and vote and get the people in office that we believe would be in support. Oh, the microphone, do you have you want to use this one and I'll talk? Oh, oh, speak into it. My coach there, my life coach. Did I answer that question for you, or did you want a little bit more clarity? Yeah, on the surface it does. We're seeing it as a bipartisan issue because the truth is out there. And as people start learning about the truth, and we have one of our speakers later today is a chairperson for the Libertarian Party, so they may be able to speak out about what they've seen in the political venue of it. But it does seem that way, and a few of the bills that are in there, I don't know if is everybody familiar with the bills that are in legislature right now? There's 3 bills. There's the one that just, it got support, which was the high CBD, low THC bill, which is Charlotte's Web. And that is to, basically what we feel is to appease people to say, don't worry, we've already passed something, don't get out there and vote. And it's the complete opposite. We need to get out there and vote for what we need. And a constitutional amendment, in my opinion, is the best solution for us in the state of Florida, because that alone right there is what the people would want. You know, and again, it's more important. And United for Care is here, and they have absentee ballots, and they can help you learn while you're having lunch on how to get out there and vote and what to do. But, you know, we do need support of the government when the people say what they want. You know, and you know, I'm myself not telling anybody where to go or where to vote. You all need to look at that for yourself. This isn't a political venue for me. It's more of a what's best for the people of Florida. And you need to do your own research and figure out who you believe is going to be in support of this, if this is something that you're in support of. Yes, Bill.
Just to sort of support what he was asking about, the governor being against it, that's one of the most important parts of the fact that this is an amendment to the Constitution. It's not something that he can turn around and veto, whereas, for example, the Captain Jordan bill that's in both of the houses, if that does get voted and goes to his desk, he can still veto it. So, I mean, I think that's an important part of why yes on 2 is so important. I mean, I don't mean to be on the political side either. People need to vote their conscience, but just to help you, if we vote yes on 2 and it passes, the governor can do nothing. So.
Yeah, and we have, we'll have a lawyer talk about it later. There's, I believe, 6 months or 9 months that then the government is responsible to writing the framework of the laws and the rules that will go around governing and deciding who gets to open up. And in Florida, they're called treatment centers. We use the word dispensary a lot in other states, and it's called, you know, that's another part of the terminology. The amendment calls them treatment centers. I I am shifting my terminology as much as possible. I will make the mistake once in a while and call it a dispensary, but I quickly get corrected by Pete. And in Florida, they're going to be called treatment centers. And that framework needs to be built, and that's going to be governed by the State of Florida Health Department as we see it. Yes? That's going to be the.
If you can ask a question, just raise your hand, I'll bring the mic so everybody can hear it.
The tree farms that it's calling for agricultural land?
Are you talking about the orange tree farms currently?
No,
Or?
it's in your pamphlet right here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of talk, and again, nobody knows exactly what the law is going to be until it passes. All we could do is keep as informed as we can. You know, I was alerted from a good friend of mine that lives out in Central Florida about the orange trees that they're losing in the agricultural. And, you know, I've been approached by a lot of farmers that are saying, I'm losing my crop, I'm losing, you know, my income because I'm losing my trees to this disease that's out there. And, you know, how do I fit in to the industry with cannabis? And as of right now, anybody that tells you that they know the answer to that is lying to you. I don't know the answer to it. What I do know is that we have to stay as informed as possible as things move and progress, and things will change. And the farmers need to get up and they need to talk to the health department. And if do you guys own a farm, or are you, anybody?
We just need to know what direction to go because there's stuff written out here in Ybor, but there's no specifics,
Yeah, and again, the specifics as we know them, we're going to share them with you. None of that's written, and I just will clarify in case anybody is unaware how it works. Once we vote upon it and it gets passed, then there's about a 140-page document that's going to have to be written. And the rules are changing as they go. And as we have more states that pop up, things are changing even quicker. So nothing's been written yet. The state of Florida has 6 months after the vote to have that solidified, which will tell you how many plant counts and all that different specific information. Now, what a lot of other schools or instructional places, they're using examples from Colorado and California. I could give you the examples and stand up here, but that's going to do you no good. Okay, anything that I tell you about what Colorado's doing or Seattle, you can look up on the internet, Google it, find out for yourself. That's not what's going to happen in Florida. Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. There's committees that are forming as we speak that are trying to help to do it, but this entire country is looking at Florida to do it right. Okay, we have 19 million people in the state of Florida. We'll be the #2 place for cannabis use in the country. We'll be more than most of the other states that have just passed this into law combined. So everybody's looking at Florida to do it the right way. So there's a lot of pressure on everybody in this state to do it the right way, including the people that want it and the people that can't deny it once it gets through. So all eyes will be on Florida. Yes?
In terms of timeframes, there's the potential for Charlotte's Web in June with the legislation, and then we're looking at November for the amendment vote. After, assuming that both go through, what is the time frame for growing to begin so that product can start to get out?
Okay, that's a great question, and one of my speakers later will give you more specifics to it, but the time frame to write the rules is 6 months after the vote, correct, Pete? So 6 months.
And we would have to wait until after the 6 months and...
Well, what we're hoping is that people here in the state of Florida are being very proactive, and from my knowledge, they are, and they're starting to put these rules together. So I can't go into details about what's being done because I don't have the specifics for you, and I'm never going to stand up in front of you and share anything that I feel is inaccurate. But there are groups and committees that are helping to put the rules in place, so when this passes, they shorten the time frame as much as possible. The ideal situation is that experts from this industry will get together and they'll write the framework for it, and then they'll pass it over to to the state once it's passed, and then the state will take that framework and use that to write their rules. But again, there's no guarantee that what's given to the state will even be used. They could throw it in the garbage and say they have their own ideas on how to do it. So the most important thing is just, keeping informed and keeping up to date. And that's what we're here for. We're in constant contact with people throughout the state of Florida, throughout other parts of the country as well, to try and navigate through all this information. It's overwhelming. I'll tell you right now, it's overwhelming. And the misinformation that's out there is really hard to cut through. So, in my opinion, the best thing is to learn as much as you possibly can, and then use common sense on who you listen to going forward.
Hi, Tom. I agree with you, and my husband agrees with you that the drugs are bad. He's a pharmacist, and he couldn't agree with you more on the addiction and all of that. Secondly, I would like to ask you a question. Your coalition, your group, what are you doing lobbying-wise? We've got a big group of people that are interested, you're interested, and aren't we, there's power in numbers. Where's the lobbying on your end going on to help this go through?
That's a great question. And, we've toyed around with the idea of that and how we're going to proceed. Right now, we're taking it day by day and step by step, and information it is. And we're getting out there, and as you can look around, everybody that in this room shares in the knowledge of wanting that information. And what we want to do as a coalition is gather and get as many members into our group as we can as power in numbers. Right now, we have less than 200 people involved. So look around. You're our inaugural group. Thank you for coming out here and being part of it. But we will be growing. Things are going to happen fast. People are starting to take notice. And as it comes close to that, we'll probably pick things to lobby for, or we may want to stand on the sidelines. My overall thing is we want to get this passed, and we got to get out there and vote. So the first step is educating everybody that they have to get out there in November and vote, because if we don't vote and we don't pass this, I'm going to have to move to Colorado. I'm not doing that. I dug my heels in deep. And the name of my company is Florida Cannabis. I've got a lot riding on this, and I believe in it, and I believe in getting out, and I believe everybody here feels similar in one way or another. Maybe not exactly or as passionate as the person sitting next to you, but that's our most important thing. We got to get out. We got to talk to our friends. We got to talk to our neighbors and inform them.
There are people in this room that would back you on anything that you freaking do, lobby-wise, to help us make this work. Agreed?
Well, thank you. And, I really appreciate that. And, for me, this is a bigger thing. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than anybody sitting here, to be quite honest. We're part of history. And as those opportunities come up, I'm sure we'll navigate through them just like we're navigating through everything else. But thank you. But everybody needs to do their own part, which is talking to your friends and neighbors. And I can't say that more than enough. Pete, how are we doing on time?
Good, ready?
I'm about ready, unless anybody else has any questions for me. I want to bring on some much more interesting people than myself.
Thank you. Just had a question about the drug companies. Have we heard anything from Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson?
I haven't heard anything or seen anything that's been written specifically, but what most of us know, and my numbers, again, probably are not exact right, but as most of us all know, 82% of all the pharmaceuticals that are in the U.S. are produced in India and China. So we know for a fact that Big Pharma is against this, but they are not ignoring it. They're trying to come up with their own medical compounds, which uses CBDs and takes it apart. But most of the people, especially the patients that are out there, the choice is to use the whole plant. And I heard a great analogy by John Morgan at one of the events that I went to. He's like, a lot of people take vitamin C, regardless of the fact that it causes scurvy, but a majority of people would prefer to eat the whole orange. So, with pharmaceutical companies seeing this as an opportunity to jump on it, you will start seeing some of these synthetic compounds that come out that have the CBDs and the THCs, but, you know, it's something we need to look at, but we need to, that's why it's so important to reinforce to your friends and neighbors that these other things that are coming out aren't going to solve the problem. You know, these are not going to help the patients that need it the most. It may help some of the people some of the time, but we need the best opportunity, which is choice, to be able to use this plan. Thank you.